nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast, match day one of the 2025-2026 season. We went far too long without watching Real Madrid play football, and we are back. We are so thrilled to be back for yet another season with you guys, and Managing Madrid will be stronger than ever. And as always, we will have a presence at every single home game this season and a bunch of away games as well. And right off the bat, joining me, Kiyan Sobhani, today is Leah Revelle, making her return. Leah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Fantastic. And Sam Leveridge live at the Bernabeu. Sam, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Kiyan. I'm enjoying the air conditioning on the inside of the Bernabeu after being out in the heat.
Enjoy it, bro. It's going to get cold faster than you know it. Listen, Leah and I would both like to get your thoughts directly from the stadium, and then we're going to say goodbye to you because I know you have to head down to the press conferences and you have a lot of work to do. Please walk us through the match day atmosphere, the opening match day atmosphere at the Bernabeu today. What were your observations?
I think before the game, it was very much kind of party atmosphere, right? It was Xabi Alonso, it was a new era, it was all these new signings, it's we're going to win 6-0, kind of all the optimism of pre-season and all of the excitement. And then from there, I think that kind of built into a little bit of frustration further on. I mean, it wasn't the most entertaining of games. I mean, just looking back at it now, there weren't any clear-cut chances for either team. I mean, 90 minutes, which probably won't be remembered by too many people today. I think that was it, just kind of the frustration, perhaps, that pre-season optimism, excitement was just that optimism and excitement rather than the reality, which is that Xabi Alonso and this squad do have a big job on their hands to make some big changes as well.
What were your personal thoughts? Did you feel like maybe the disgruntlement of the fans at certain points, or maybe the disappointment and the expectations that were set, were they exaggerated? Like, where did you do you feel like this is kind of in line for first game of the season with a new coach? I know it's like, you can argue we've had actually 6 games because we had the Club World Cup. I'm not going to count the friendly really against Tirol, but you could obviously argue it's not your first game with a new manager, but it's the first game of the season. Do you feel like these are kind of just normal growing pains? Or did you feel like there was valid concern? What is your take on that?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, right? Because I mean, Xabi Alonso has only really had 10 days before the Club World Cup, and then 15 days of pre-season now. So he hasn't really had that long on the training pitch with these players to really implement any ideas. And I think that was kind of talking to people around me. They almost seem surprised at this idea that, hang on, we're attacking just like we attacked last season, and we can't break down a low block just like we couldn't break down a low block last season. And the same kind of issues in the attack. But I think there were signs. I mean, right at the very start, you saw Vinícius pressing across the whole pitch, and that's not something that we saw at any time last season. You saw the defensive structure was a lot more organised and a lot more structured and secure against those counter-attacks that Osasuna tried to mount. The last season was so problematic when they happened. So I think there's signs of the changes coming, but I think you just need to be patient. I mean, Xabi Alonso hasn't had a proper pre-season. The Club World Cup didn't have a proper preparation period, and then you had the games every 3-4 days. It's very hard to expect Xabi Alonso to implement his idea with a whole new squad of players in such a short period of time.
A couple questions that I have for you before you go. The first one is do you want to give us your main standout thing that you're going to write about? Because you usually do 3 answers, 3 questions for the website over on managingmadrid.com. And if anyone doesn't look at the written side of things, you should. Some of you guys only listen to the podcast. Make sure to hit up managingmadrid.com, where there's a bunch of post-game pieces between now and tomorrow covering this one. What is your standout item that you're gonna kind of highlight?
Sure. So I think it's almost 2. One I would say is Aurelien Tchouameni. They put it out on Twitter that during that first drinks break in the first half, Xabi Alonso was talking to him the whole drinks break, just him and Tchouameni on their own, everybody else having a drink, and Tchouameni and Xabi Alonso talking tactics. And I think that shows the role that he's going to play this season tactically as much as anything else, and how he's going to kind of step up to be a little bit of a leader in that midfield, where obviously Fede Valverde is the captain when Dani Carvajal isn't on the field, but I think Tchouameni is going to be very vital. And the other one was Vinícius and how Vinícius fits in. And a little bit like against Tirol, was this a good performance from Vinícius? Was it a terrible performance from Vinícius? And I mean, offensively, it wasn't great. One shot, which was way off target, and so on, but he still created 2 chances, I think it was. He also had, when he went off, he was leading for the number of tackles in the match with 3. So, I mean, there are things that we wouldn't expect Vinícius to usually be in those kind of statistics for creating chances. He'd be the one finishing them, or for the tackles is something that we never usually see Vinícius. So maybe this is Vinícius changing his game, and is this just the consequence of that, the sacrifice of some of that finishing touch to be more defensive? It's going to be interesting to see how Vinícius fits in, because I do think the attack looked a little bit more fluid with Gonzalo Garcia and Franco Mastantuono on the pitch in the final minutes.
I think what you're describing is a fascinating discussion. I'm pretty excited actually to kind of open up that can of worms with Leah, because I think it feeds into a bunch of other things. This season, this game, everything, the way Real Madrid function offensively. I think Vinícius' role in this and kind of some of his struggles is kind of fascinating to unpack. And the dominoes of it are going to be really consequential. I mean, I think depending on how that goes. Sam, your insight is invaluable. Appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping by for a few minutes here. And thank you for all the coverage you do for the website. Thank you, man. We'll talk soon.
Great. Thanks, Kiyan. Thanks, Leah.
Bye, Sam.
All right, Leah. I have so much from this game. So much
Same.
that
I have
I
a
think is
full
just
list.
fascinating. I asked you to prepare, I think, 5 of your main talking points. So I think we should go through those first. And then I have so many. I mean, you may cover the ones I want to highlight. So, but if there's anything left over, we can kind of tackle it later. Start with number 1 on your list.
Okay. So number 1 was our setup in general, pros and cons. So I'll start with pros. No, let me start with cons. On the ball, I don't think much has changed. I'm sure things have changed, but objectively, watching that game in attack especially, it feels like it's the same like non-cohesion that there was last season. It's obviously, as Sam mentioned, still very difficult to break down that low block, which it is for anyone. Like, I appreciate that a low block, like when they park the bus with 11 players behind the ball, regardless of how you set up, that's going to be difficult. But I just didn't see a whole lot of major differences on the ball. Off the ball, I think we look completely different. Osasuna barely had a chance to breathe at all, because as soon as they touched the ball, it was 1, 2, 3 players pressing them, which is something that we didn't do in the last couple of seasons. So our off the ball press and our recovery was a lot better. I like, this kind of fits into my second point, but what I really liked was the fluidity on the flanks, more so obviously on the left. The right side was still a little quiet. The left, a lot of our attack went through the left side, which we, are familiar with from last season as well, and the season before. But I think, which also ties into a sub point, is that Brahim was a weird choice for me to start. And I think that perhaps if we set up an attack differently, there would have been more balance on the left and right side. But I do think both Trent and Carreras got a lot of balls into the box, which obviously then leads to the con, which is we have 0 aerial threat besides Tchouameni when he, makes his runs into the box, which would have made sense. It would have made sense for Gonzalo Garcia to start in a game like this instead of Brahim, in my opinion. I'll stop there.
Yeah, there's even a lot to unpack in all that. First of all, this is a new setup. You have a tactics board behind you, which is blurred out because we don't want to know all the secrets. But
Can
then
I
you
just
also have a
say-
tactics board in your hand.
I do. Who am I? I
This
just want
is
to
totally
say
new.
I got the lineup right, minus the 10 players. You know, I predicted the red card just on the other side.
Yeah, I had put up a contest last week that anyone who predicts the starting 11 on opening match day correctly wins a 1-year Managing Madrid membership.
Oh.
And there was no limit. Like, it's not just one winner. Whoever gets it right
Oh.
wins it. So I have to go back through and see who got the lineup right and figure that out. I have a lot of work to do in the next 24 hours. But I do think the Brahim point is interesting because he was the one name from the starting lineup that also from last game I was a little bit skeptical about, in part because I think he's better off the bench. And I don't think he inherently did anything wrong today, by the way.
Mhm.
But here's where I think his place can be questioned, is that if you look at our problems today in terms of creating chances, there were two, in my opinion. One was that the possession, it was just possession. It was very safe, put it that way, right? It was about keeping possession. It was about not giving the ball away carelessly. It was about just control and control and control. And I don't think that's Xabi's ultimate final vision, by the way. I just want to point that out. I think there is more to this, but this is like, as a first game, I'm fine with this performance. I think there are next levels that need to be tweaked, and those tweaks will come.
Mhm.
But we saw a lot of things today, improvements, mainly, as you mentioned, off the ball and defensively, that we haven't seen in a long time. And I'm happy with those improvements. And I think the offensive tweaks will come.
Mhm.
But I think if you look at the main offensive problems, one is that we didn't have enough risk taking and line breaking from the wingers.
Mhm.
And apart from Mbappe, and I think Mbappe was the one who was like, I'm going to take risks. I'm going to break the status quo of these passing patterns. Every time I get the ball, I'm going to try to cook people. And he did. He had 8 completed dribbles by the end of the game. 3 or 4 of them were probably in that one sequence in the second half. It was his dribbling on the right side that led to the penalty, which he scored. And it was his dribbling on the right later on in the half that created something out of nothing. We needed more of that. Maybe that will come with Mastantuono's emergence here, which is an entire talking point on its own. And the second thing was lack of a target, which may have been one of your key talking points. I'm not sure. So sorry to jump the gun if it was.
Okay.
And that's where I think, like, a couple things. Any sequences where Tchouameni crashed the box, the threat level completely shifted to, like, the gravity that he pulls because he's such an aerial threat. Osasuna now had to actually focus on him, because there were other sequences where you didn't do that, and you had Vini and Mbappe and Brahim, like, kind of hovering in and around the box, and Trent looking up, and it's like none of those guys are going to do anything for you in the air.
Mhm.
So that's where I think two things. Jude Bellingham in these first couple months would have been a good solution to that, because he's going to be a threat in the box. He can crash the box. And the second thing is, I think this is where Gonzalo Garcia comes in.
Mhm.
And Sam alluded to it before he left, that Gonzalo Garcia also in the second half, and it wasn't much time he was on the field, but I think he has a case to start over Brahim. Like, if you want to take out an extra ball controller in Brahim and insert an extra threat in the box, someone who can kind of carve it out a little bit more sharper than just passing it around, I think one of the answers could be Gonzalo Garcia for Brahim, and then you just shift it a little bit. Now, the big question is, like, can Vini and Mbappe and Gonzalo Garcia all play together, which is, it's a big question. I also think, okay, I'm going to stop there, actually. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to monopolize it. So what's your next talking point?
Okay, so I have another sub point to the setup before we get into the next one. In terms of setup with attackers, obviously it was lackluster in a lot of cases. And I think that it's probably not the greatest example given how deep Osasuna was. You know, like, again, like I said, with 11 players behind the ball, it's always hard. However, I do think obviously there's a lot of work that needs to be done off the ball runs into the box. Like you said, a little more line breaking to just make those chances, or to have someone to receive any kind of pass in behind. However, I'm okay, like you said, with that performance, because Vini, although perhaps not his best offensive performance. I don't necessarily even think it was that bad, but he defended a lot more. He pressed a lot more. And a lot of times last season where he had made the wrong decision, in theory, in terms of passing or trying to take on the defender with a little bit of flair, he would always choose taking on the defender with a little bit of flair and eventually lose possession. And today what we saw was a lot more passes, whether that's passes back, whether that's passes forward, whether that's passes lateral. There was a lot more just passing from him in general. And I think, to allude to what Sam mentioned, is I think this is a shift in his game as a whole. I don't think this is his final form necessarily. I think it'll be a nice balance of both flair and, smart decision making. But maybe this is what Xabi Alonso is extracting from Vinny, like what Ancelotti did to extract the flair from Vinny and the confidence when he needed that too. And then Mbappe as well. I actually think Mbappe's performance was really good. I think it's hard when there's not a lot happening up front. There's no runs being made, but he was explosive on the ball. He created chances. He, broke lines, got past defenders, and dropped deeper than he's ever had before. So
I agree with you about the defensive effort. We saw it against Tirol too, where he didn't have the best offensive game, or he didn't play well offensively at all, actually. But there was a clear defensive effort that was there, both in that game and in today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good sign for me. Sometimes stars who will go into offensive funks, they can get back into it if they also do the right fundamental things on and off the ball, like working hard on defense, like trying their best to get, be part of the collective pressing scheme. And that was there for me today. And that effort is super important to me, because there's a huge difference between a star player struggling offensively who's working hard and a star player who's struggling offensively and is just kind of sulking around. And for Vinny, it was no sulking. He was working his ass off tonight.
Yeah.
And that's important to see. And those are the things that you hope to see will eventually click him into gear. And I do think there's a fine balance. There always has been a fine balance with Vinícius in terms of dancing that fine line of doing too much and doing too little. Because there are instances where he does too much, but you also don't want him doing too little either, because he is such an incredibly talented player who can do things no one else in the world does, and you don't want to shut him down completely. And I think what Xabi Alonso was asking him to do is just to move the ball quicker when he has it. Like, see if you can take him on, and if you can't, just swing it quickly. Don't go into iso ball. Don't stall possession. Move it quickly. And I think he's just trying to grapple with that. But mind you, I think he struggled last year too when he didn't have those rules.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a player that's in a big funk. And I think I genuinely wonder where Xabi Alonso will see his place in the team. Xabi Alonso does not see him as indispensable, like the way Carlo did.
Yeah.
And I do think it's pretty established now that Mbappe is not losing his place. He's the hierarchy. He's the alpha dog right now.
Yeah.
And if one of them is going to make way, it's probably going to be Vinny. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Vinny has been subbed off in every game, including the Club World Cup. And that's another telling sign for me too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a player who, by the way, it should be noted, despite him not being great offensively today, he did have a couple really good passes into the box, one to Mbappe. Another one, a cutback to Mbappe. I think there was another one, but also didn't really. Again, it's not the same Vinícius we've seen in years past.
Yeah.
Point number 3.
Okay. So fullbacks, both new, both great on the ball, both great in overlap, can offer much more creativity going forward. I kind of mentioned already, Trent's side was a little quiet. But so was the entire right side of the pitch. Carreras, though, I foresee great things for him. I think he was very solid. He was confident. I think that partnership on the left side with Vinny could be insanely dangerous. That could be a really good threat if Vinny finds his form again as well, especially on the overlap. It's just such a breath of fresh air to have two fullbacks with that kind of creativity, mostly on the left side because we're obviously used to Mendy. And he's young and hungry, and I think that'll be really good. I also don't fault Trent at all. I just think not a lot happened on that side. So
I like Carreras too. I thought he was very, very solid. I liked how, I mean, he's one of those players that is always looking to move off the ball. Like he releases it, he's providing an overload. He releases it, he's providing an underload. His fight was great. And I think he actually was one of my standout players. And I think him and other people like are really benefiting from the collective defensive scheme. Like one of the things that I think went unnoticed or under discussed, I think, about this whole complaining about Real Madrid's U-shaped possession and their passing and the slow. I think one of the things that gets missed when we talk about it like that is that this is a huge improvement on defense just playing the way you did. This was a form of defense, and I think Xabi is trying to fix the defense first and foremost because we were bleeding last season on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Every time Osasuna had the ball, they had it for maybe 4 seconds. That was it. We were in position, whether it was Carreras, whether it was Güler, who I thought had some really great interceptions and tackles, ball winning in midfield, whether it was Tchouameni, Militão, whether it was Vinny, whether it was Fede. All of these ball winning sequences were on the back of a collective press that the individual, was able to rack it up on his stat sheet, interception, because the team pressed collectively and they did so well and it was so synergistic. And I think the fact that you can control the game and your opponent doesn't even get a whiff of the ball is a form of defense. Yeah. Again, I think the next logical steps to take would be to introduce more line breaking from the wingers and introduce a target and maybe GG. Gonzalo Garcia. Yeah. So I think we're heading in the right direction. But I agree with you. I thought Carreras was really good. Great fight. Good two-way player, which is exactly as he was advertised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are we at? We have 2 more points. What do you got?
Okay. I have one player and then an honorable mention section. Okay. So my last main point is Huijsen. Period. Unbelievable player. I think there was perhaps some holes, occasionally throughout the game where he was slightly out of position, but I think that'll just come with, time and adapting more to the squad. He's like the most fully well-rounded center half that I've seen in a long time. And I have a hot take, but maybe not a hot take, but I think that he perhaps is the best addition to our squad in this transfer window. Like
coming from a Mastantuono household, by the way.
Yeah, that we'll get there. That's in my honorable mentions. But I think that he, like you said, we were bleeding, and then we were also lacking some sort of something from our back line. And I think partnered with Militão, or honestly Rodrigo as well, I think Militão specifically, both him and Huijsen have like incredible long balls, a great eye to like ping those long balls up the pitch. And I think, yeah, it's crazy how much he offers on and off the pitch. I also can't believe he came from Bournemouth of all places, like so random. But yeah, his long ball accuracy, he's just fully well-rounded. And I think that, once he settles, maybe he was nervous because I don't think, he's played at Anfield and stuff, but nothing comes close to the Bernabeu. But I think, yeah, he's easily our best addition. And I think he'll just get better, which is...
He puts up cruise numbers. 16 of 17 long balls completed today. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
For a defender.
Ridiculous.
Crazy.
His distribution is insane.
Yeah.
I also enjoy if you watch him off the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
like even if the ball is nowhere near him, he's keeping players offside. Like he's so cognizant of the offside trap at all times. And he's just looking, and you see a player who looks like he's going to threaten, make a run, and Huijsen just pulls up and he's going to keep him offside. Like he's a very intelligent defender. So that was your fourth point. Your fifth point.
Okay, honorable mentions.
Okay,
So,
honorable mentions.
We'll start with Arda Güler. He was almost like a conductor today. It's incredible how much confidence he's gained just from a new manager and a few starts, like a couple minutes, not a couple, but, minutes in general. Because he was telling, teammates where to make runs, where to be, he's our set piece taker, before Trent, by the way, which is a statement. And I think he deserves his flowers for today. A lot of our buildup went through him centrally as well. So I think I don't know if you saw my video yesterday, but I think he might be our best player this season. I think Huijsen was our best addition, but I think Arda Güler will be our best player.
I had a pretty bold prediction that Güler is going to lead the league in assists this season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stick with it. I think, and I also want to say, like, this kind of ties into my frustration with some of the dialogue from this game. And I don't know necessarily what fans are saying, but I can tell you, like, ESPN was making me tear my metaphorical hair up, which I don't have. But, like,
yes,
this whole idea at halftime was like, oh, this is disappointing. We waited all this time for this. And, like, I couldn't believe some of the things that they were saying. Like, oh, they don't have Pedri. They can't do this. Güler is not that player. First of all, like, a lot of these solutions come with, players who can make runs in the box and be a target, which Güler can pick out. Other than that, he's distributing, and he's been distributing really well, and he was terrific defensively. The other thing is that, like, this is one game into an unbelievably long season. And football changes so quickly, and that you can't expect that there might be, linear progress as the season goes on. Like, you can't really pick up on patterns that the team already looks way better in. You can't pick up on that. And it was just mind-blowing to me. Like, these guys are like, some of these guys are ex-players, and some of the stuff they were saying, I honestly, like, I wasn't shocked. I also know that you were tweeting away, so I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, it's
the one thing that shocked me was at the end of the game,
Carvajal,
and I don't remember who the player was.
I don't know.
It was
he got all the ball. Where?
Catena.
Yeah.
He goes in cleats to Carvajal's knee.
Yep.
And obviously we have trauma from Carvajal already. Like,
yeah.
It was a horrible challenge. And they're sitting there going, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Pronouncing Huijsen's name wrong and calling Mastantuono. What do they call him? Mastuano.
Mastuano. That's our guy, Rob. We love him. But the other guy, Stuart Robson is just saying constantly stuff like he's got to get on with it. He's play on. Like, come on, bring some coherent analysis, please. Like, it's really, really ridiculous. Okay, end rant.
And scene.
We were talking about Güler and some other things. Yeah, this is a long season. I'm okay with this being our first. Oh, by the way, Mbappe summed it up really well after the game. I'm going to read the quote that he gave the pitch side reporter, aka Real Madrid TV. He says, quote, Xabi wanted us to have a lot of control of the ball, to play from one side to the other so that the other team doesn't run and doesn't have space to play. There are things we can improve. We've just returned from vacation, but it's positive, end quote. Completely agree. Took the words right out of my mouth. I agree with that assessment. I agree with it.
Agreed.
I wanted to bring up my notes. I'm shocked that you didn't talk about Mastantuono, but
he's on my last honorable mention.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. You weren't done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, the last two are just Tchouameni and Mastantuono. Tchouameni, easily the first name on the team sheet besides Huijsen is what I have. Our only aerial threat, besides maybe when Gonzalo Garcia came on. Really great performance from him, underrated. And then Mastantuono, confidence. That's a lot of pressure for a just 18-year-old going from. I mean, he plays at the Monumental, and that's a big stadium with a lot of crazy fans. So I'm sure he's used to the kind of pressure. Argentinian football is crazy in general, but the level is not the same at all. So to have a performance like that, he was just hungry. Didn't stop. Gives me Fede vibes, honestly. Like hungry, racehorse, great on the ball. And I'm excited for him to get more minutes. Okay, that's all.
Well, I think the Mastantuono talking point also leads us into Rodrigo is
Gone.
not gonna get any playing time.
Yeah.
If he's not gonna move on. And I know, like, it's still difficult finding the right place for him and the combination of Real Madrid and him agreeing to a deal that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
We got Cookie Monster here. Do you want to give some analysis?
Yeah.
What's your analysis? What's your favorite cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Nice. Not raisin?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
No.
Like father, like son. So he distracted me. Cookies.
Mastantuono.
Rodrigo. For what it's worth, Mastantuono looked very fearless. I mean, that was the thing that everyone was talking about. That was what Xabi Alonso was talking about all this time. And I do think, like, for all these reports that I was skeptical about like Xabi Alonso wants Mastantuono to be a starter, and all this, and I'm like, it's really too soon to know anything like that. But the fact that he's just been raving about him in press conferences and then throws him on like a couple days after his 18th birthday at home when you're up 1-0, it
For like 20
shows that there's yeah. And that corner he took was fantastic. He put it right on Tchouameni's head on the corner.
Yeah.
So he looked promising. I mean, it's still too early to know it, but obviously, like, the idea of him being fearless definitely fits the bill. He was demanding the ball. He was trying to funnel the possession. He looked good. Yeah. Okay, so that's your talking points, right? Before we get into mine, I want to give a shout out to Moji Mates. And if you guys haven't already, you've had an entire season now of us telling you about Moji Mates. And so if you haven't picked up already, or you're kind of new to the podcast and you don't know about it yet, head on over to moji-mates.com. That's moji-mates.com. And you can get a bunch of Real Madrid swag like so. A bunch of Cristiano Ronaldo stuff they just uploaded. Zidane, old school throwback. Look at this. Every iteration of Luka Modric and so forth. Go to moji-mates.com and pick up your Real Madrid swag from their website. Okay, Leah. Gonna go through my list. And we got this guy joining podcast for a few minutes here. The shaky end to the game, like that needs to be cleaned up. And I don't know if it's a matter of fatigue because the scheme demands so much pressing and stuff. But from the 80th minute on, it was a little bit nervy. Leg heavy, passes were a little bit sloppy. So I think things like that will also need to improve. It's not just the offensive side. Like, we've been raving about the defense and in how much our off-ball shape has improved. But I definitely think there are going to be teams who can obviously exploit us more than Osasuna, whose main threat was Budimir on set pieces. And he almost got it on the end of one. Gonzalo Garcia was marking him at the end. So stuff like that will need to improve. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
No, I agree. And it's kind of a continuation of last year. Especially, it's like last year we go up a goal or two or three or however many, we'd be leading, and then there would be complacency. And so I see a lot of that. But I do feel like if the press continues and the endurance improves from that, I foresee that issue being what's the word I'm looking for? Nipped in the bud. But yes, I agree.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what what the word you're looking for is because I'm over here trying to handle this, but he's gone now. Okay, so 84th minute. This was a big moment. Fede Valverde, who had a relatively quiet game today. I mean, a lot of his game was just resorting. It wasn't really resorting, but his main function was make sure the ball gets circulated, make sure he wins possession in midfield. In the 84th minute, there was this moment where Osasuna nearly break, and he comes in with this flying slide tackle in the box. And it was such a key moment for me. I had to note it down because, like, it's rare that we go an entire podcast without talking about Fede Valverde.
Yeah.
And that was a huge moment for me. You kind of mentioned Trent. I thought he's still a player that's kind of finding his feet.
Mm-hmm.
He plays with verticality.
Mm-hmm.
He is trying to ping those long balls over the top. Some of it felt a little bit forced. I think defensively, there were a couple moments where they snuck in behind. That's something to keep an eye on. Carvajal, Trent. It's going to be a big talking point. So, what about Militão? What were your thoughts on Militão?
To be honest, I think he was great. I think it's impressive, his performance, given I don't think people fully realize like how impactful 2 ACLs are on each separate knee. Like those are 2 huge injuries on the 2 main, limbs that you need to play the sport. And I feel like to come back almost like he was before he left, the only other person I've seen do that in recent years is Van Dijk. And even then, he wasn't quite like 100% himself. So, yeah, I think he was good. I think, he's been in and out of the lineup for the last like 2 years. So for him to have a performance like that, given the circumstances, I think it was great.
I thought it was very good. Obviously, like we have to be really happy for him. The last 2 years has been complete hell for him.
Yeah.
Back-to-back ACL injuries. He's supposed to be entering or in the prime of his career, and he's dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's back, and I think we collectively, like myself included, we didn't really count on him. Like when we're talking about starting lineups this season and talking about signing center backs. If there was anyone who spoke about it, I missed it, and congratulations to you. But like a lot of us just didn't even. We just like for me, it was like Militão. If he comes back to 80% and off the bench and he provides a good role in the squad, that's huge. But he's been starting the last couple games and last 3 games, if you count those 2, the one behind the closed door game and then that game against Tirol, and this one, which is an official match, which is obviously like the main one.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we're counting on him is, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a new signing. So
yeah,
it's great to see that.
I'm interested to see what will happen because I think we talked about this last year too. You mentioned it briefly that I thought for sure like he would be a fraction of himself coming back from 2 injuries like that. And obviously because he did get injured, Rodrigo had the opportunity to step up. He had a great first season, the year we won the Champions League, but then last year he had a good beginning of the season, got injured a couple times and then, declined a little bit towards the end. But now I'm really interested to see who out of the 2 of them, like, will Rodrigo go back to the bench and will Militão start? Will Rodrigo, when he's back from suspension, will he slot in there instead of Militão? Like, I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't know, but again, like, and I think this is kind of like any like player debates we have with the starting lineup are going to be. I think you have to preface it all by saying like everyone's going to be used a lot this season. There's going to be subs. There's going to be a lot of rotation. Xabi Alonso was that kind of coach. He's going to rotate. He's going to sub. The scheme is demanding. We saw like the end of the game. We saw some heavy legs. You're going to need everybody. And again, I just go back to it, like the fact that we're having these conversations, like the whole Carvajal for Trent debate versus Trent debate. I'm like, thank God we're having this conversation, man. Like last year was a nightmare with our fullback situation. Carreras looks really good.
So good.
Trent's here now. Carvajal is back. Fran Garcia looked like he's better. He's going to be better under Xabi Alonso. Ferland Mendy third choice left back. Cool. Cool with me.
We have multiple choices. What do you mean?
Yeah. So I'm fine with it. I don't know if there's too much else I have. I mean, I have some nerdy things. Like I think in the first minute, Courtois kicks it long, and the aim of that is to lead to a press right away. It's kind of a variation of PSG kicking the ball out at kickoff.
Mm.
I thought that was just kind of something interesting to note. I think it took like almost 5 minutes for Osasuna to even get a touch on the ball, and they just gave it away right away. And I think Real Madrid's intention was to set the tone that we're controlling this. You're not getting out of your half.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think a lot of those things will be sharpened
Mm-hmm.
as the season goes on. So,
well, that's a lot of fitness too that
Yeah.
pressing constantly involves, and so there's a huge improvement in fitness from what it looks like from everyone, because to press for maybe not quite 90 minutes, but 75, 80 minutes, that's a lot. That's a lot of endurance and a lot of stamina that's needed. So,
listen, Leah, I think we covered it all. I got nothing else. Keep it locked on the website. And we're going to do, Leah, you and I have to talk about it, but we're going to do a Toronto podcast in the fall or early winter again.
yeah.
And we want to give a shout out to TAFC Academy, tacsports.ca. As you can see the ticker underneath there, they run the best football academy in Toronto, and it's like hands down the best coaching, best facilities. They even do swimming and basketball camps and clinics. So if you have kids in Toronto, make sure to go to tacsports.ca. We're going to be working with them again this season to do pick-up footy sessions in Toronto, do some podcasts together. So make sure to go to tacsports.ca. And tomorrow, if you're a Managing Madrid member, you get bonus content called Madrid Mornings, the day after every single game, where Lucas Navarrete goes and gives his analysis, and we do a ton of bonus content. We do weekly mailbags, you get Madrid Mornings, and we got a lot of stuff lined up for you guys this season. So go to patreon.com/Managing Madrid to get a bunch of bonus content. And I completely forgot to check to see if we have super chats. Do we have any super chats? No super chats today. Wow. The funny thing about that is we had well over 500 people on the stream at one point, and I just assumed that we would get super chats because we get super chats like even with 10 people on the stream. So that's a new thing. That's never happened before, I don't think. But just a quick glance at the chat. Femi Biemi is saying, are YouTube members included in that bonus content? Yeah. So if you're on YouTube, you don't have to sign up for Patreon. It's the same content. Go to the YouTube memberships tab on the Managing Madrid YouTube channel. And someone is saying there are super chats, but I can't see them. I don't know.
I've seen
Do
a
you
couple
see them?
come in on the, like I don't see them, but I see them come in on the chat, but they're not highlighted.
Guys, my apologies. Usually they show up for me, and I don't see them showing up for me. So I don't know if it's a glitch on StreamYard's end. But here, let's do it manually, okay? Sorry, guys. Bear with us. I had no idea that it's not my fault. It's the glitch. It's the glitch in the system. So let me scan to see.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, if you have it, it'll be much quicker. Go for it.
Okay, JD Foster 23 says, I like Carreras way better than Fran defensively and offensively. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that he's just, again, he's exactly as advertised. He's a two-way fullback, provides balance, is good on the ball, is good under pressure, is good defensively. And again, he has got a good cross on him. He's not Marcelo, but he can make overloads and underloads and get involved in the attack and make good runs. So, yeah. Leah, this is all on you, this part, because I don't see any of these super chats. I don't even know where you're reading these
I'm just scrolling. They're in the chat, but they're not highlighted or anything. They just come in as comments, which is weird. Anyway, JD Foster again says, love how Xavi has everyone working hard. Also makes Thibaut play short instead of booting it. Love Vinny, but I think Rodrigo or Gigi should start with Mbappe at the moment.
So Gigi with Mbappe?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an inevitable experiment. Not experiment, but I think because, look, from what I was told from a source, Xabi Alonso actually wanted to bench Vinny against PSG, had considered it. But there was that lineup switch because Trent went down before the game. And so Fede had to play right back. So then he ended up including all of them. And so this is why it's just kind of like on my radar about like what's going to happen. And I think GG with Mbappe is going to be at some point deployed. I don't know if it's going to be a regular thing, but I think it's going to be deployed for sure.
Agreed. Mace Rooks says we're fucked getting mauled if we face PSG, City, or Liverpool.
Hold your horses.
Yeah. Game
Hold
one.
your horses.
Game one. I think it's all... We haven't reached our final form. We're like Charmander. And we're going to be Charizard. But like...
I don't understand the reference, but I believe you.
Chat, if you know, you know. We're Bulbasaur. We're going to be Venusaur. We're Squirtle. We're going to be Blastoise eventually. But right now, we're in our starter form.
Hold on. Should I call my kids back to confirm?
They would get it. They would. I think that might be it. I'm literally just scrolling.
So I see some now. Someone gave us a super chat literally to see. This is what it looks like for some reason today.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't look. Yeah. Weird.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm disappointed in whoever's fault this is. StreamYard, YouTube, whatever. I'm gonna be on StreamYard support chat after this. Angorjoti Borla literally gave us a super chat just to say reminder, like, comment, share, and subscribe. That's what a fan base is. Thank you guys for reminding us. Thank you, Angorjoti. Yeah, we always forget. So please like, comment, subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. Hitting like especially is the lowest effort thing you can do to support our show. It's free. It's just like a tap of a finger. So hit like if you're on the video right now. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you are as well. Here's another one. Emmanuel Ugarte says, unsure why Xabi doesn't even try Rodrigo in for Vinicius. Even as a sub, I feel he'd fit the system better, but I'm no coach either. In Xabi, I trust. I think it's a little bit political and not all Xabi's decision.
Agreed.
And I think it's also... What's that?
No, go ahead. Unrelated. Another super chat that we missed.
Mind you, I don't think Xabi Alonso also is going to use Rodrigo as much as Ancelotti did either. That's also true. So the truth is somewhere in the middle. But I also think there's one last message to Rodrigo that, like, if you want to make a push, now is the time. It's a World Cup year. You don't want to be lacking playing time, etc.
Facts.
This is not a super chat, but Ankor Jyoti says Kiyan doesn't know Pokemon. I'm called out. I've been put on blast. Any others that you see? Anthony Tharp says, here is your super chat. Much love. Much love to you, Anthony. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. That's when I think Anthony felt bad because he thought there were no super chats for us.
Pikachu will be Raichu. Magikarp will be Gyarados. Exactly. And then we could be a shiny Gyarados, you guys. You get it.
Are there any others that you see, Leah?
No, that's it.
That's it? Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. Thanks for putting up with our struggles at the end there, much like Real Madrid struggles in the game at the end of their game. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you, Leah, for being back. We got a big season ahead. Yeah. Not only Real Madrid season, but like with the podcast, we have some huge, really fun plans, and it's going to be a lot of on the ground stuff from Madrid and elsewhere. So thank you so much, and you guys are awesome. Leah, thank you. Keep it locked on the website. Become a member. Get all the content. Hala Madrid.
Peace out. Bye.